Hi, my name is Mick. I am currently working on draft 4 of my high fantasy novel codenamed Project Camelot, which is a retelling of Arthurian legends, and I am aiming to finish draft 4 by the end of July. The manuscript currently is at 90,000 words. I have a bit of dev edits to do still, like tweaking certain side storylines, making sure certain side characters are appearing where they need to be, and then I have a lot of line editing to do. It is June 27th. My hopeful plan for this book is to start querying at the beginning of September. That has been my goal from the very beginning with this book. I set fall 2026 as my deadline for the book so that I could start querying. It is definitely getting there, but it isn't up to the kind of polish that I know I can bring it up to at my current skill level. So I'm going to be working on this book for a couple more months. Hopefully I can stand it off into the query trenches very soon, and have it at least in the active writing side of things. It's going to be off my plate, and I can move on to another project, which is very exciting because I've been very dedicated to Project Camelot for 2 years now. More than 2 years now. Usually at this point I would have moved on to a different project, but because I felt that this was the first project that I'd written where I could really envision myself trying to go somewhere with it, I decided to, really commit to it and bring it up to the state that I want it to be in. In terms of querying, I don't think I've talked about that before, but I have drafted my query letter since last year, maybe a few months after I wrote the first draft. I started drafting query letters and I went through a couple revisions on it, and it's okay, at the moment I still need to fine-tune the blurb of the book, and I have some titles, but I'm not 100% sure I've really found the perfect ones. There are some books on my TBR that I still have to read that are potential titles. That would be another goal of mine, is to catch up on my reading. But yeah, that's the plan, and this is going to keep me accountable. It's the 28th of June. I'm gonna sit down and do some writing right now. I'm exhausted. I've been trying to kick the caffeine for a while so that I could fix my sleep schedule a little bit, because after finals, I had finals the end of April, beginning of May, and I for the exam season I was entirely nocturnal. I was staying up all night and then sleeping from 8 a.m. to early afternoon. It's been really hard to bounce back from that cycle. And number 2, I'm also on some medication right now that's really hard to like kind of work my sleep schedule into like something smooth. I was like, okay, I need to like cut the caffeine and like let my body chill and like get into a rhythm on its own. Funnily enough, this is like a mini version of mock book cover I made for Project Camelot after I finished the first draft. So that was like in 2024. I've never showed it, obviously, but it has like my working title. But yeah, I hope you can't see the title. That's like my only concern. And if you can, since I finished finals, it's been a journey trying to get out of the slump I've been in, and the fact that I wasn't really keeping myself accountable with the videos and really being on top of my writing consistently the past year. It's been hard to like get back into it. So I'm hoping that recording myself is the solution. It does really help. Like, that's really the only reason why I do this, is that it's just like really satisfying to look back at the progress I've been making on the book, and like hearing myself talk about these problems that like I've solved or, you know, gotten past. It's nice to have that kind of visual record of working on writing projects, because a lot of it is just like such an internal process, and I also don't have the best memory. So I think like the year of me, was it a year? The months of me vlogging was so much more vivid in my memory than the past year where I wasn't. And I wasn't like putting the videos together and like editing and then rewatching it. There's a few chapters that I want to do a run through, not to fix every single thing, but to make sure that everything is in working order, and there's certain edits I need to make. So I'm going to work on, finish chapter 5, work on chapter 6 and 7, and then I want to work on chapters 17, 18, and 19, because those have certain events that are important that I just want to like kind of drag it out a little bit. So as an underwriter, I like sped through a lot of scenes in my first draft, and so every draft going forward from my zero draft has been like just like expanding, slowing down the pace, making sure that we're sitting with the information for long enough, and kind of lingering on certain details, because when I'm like drafting, I'm just like so focused on like, okay, we just need to get the main plot points down, go from this point to this point to this point, and then I completely just lose sight of the characters' like internal arcs, and it lacks a lot of the internal monologue and contemplations, and that's one of the things that I have to work on adding in later visions. I am getting a little bit concerned about the word count. It's at 90-ish thousand words right now, 90,500. And based on my predictions, I'm still working with it might turn out to be 110,000 words, which isn't too bad considering it's a really hefty book with a lot of world building, and it's also a standalone. But if it starts going over that word count, I'm gonna be real scared, because I have spent so much time like streamlining this book, so I'm hoping that like it doesn't go past the word count goal that I have for it. This is really funny. I have this I have a notebook specifically for Project Camelot, and it's kind of like a journal for it, but it's also kind of like a commonplace for any quotes or poems or like cool historical things that like remind me of the project in some way. And I have this little section of a journal entry from April 28th where I said, I love this book. I love my iteration of these characters. I want to see it through to the end. I'll never know peace if I don't commit to this project joyously. And that's really the energy that I've been moving with the last like month or two. I really would love to be on a different project. I have so many novel ideas that are like in the background in my head, but this one just needs to get done before I can peacefully move on. So it's time to write. Hi, it is the 5th of July. I have not really made much progress in my edits because I've been busy with life stuff, you know, like job hunting and stuff, so I haven't really been as focused on writing. But I was just reading back. I think this is chapter 9. And I'm like reading back this particular scene, which has been in the book I think since draft 1, and it's so good. I love the dynamics between the characters in this book. It's just it's exactly the kind of romantic kind of tensions that I enjoy writing. So yeah, the scene I'm talking about is with the secondary romantic pairing, not the main one. I've had to do like a bit of research. I don't know why I didn't do this before. It didn't occur to me to like research this, but like historical sieges on like strongholds and castles, especially in the medieval period, and like how that would happen, because I kept like every time I wrote, there is a siege that happens in this book, and I wrote it and I was never happy with the logistics of what was going on, and now I think I have it in a sequence and in the kind of like the structure of the plan. I'm a bit more satisfied with now, and I need to implement those changes. So yeah, the majority of the work I still have to do is in the last like third of the book, which I don't know, it's been a lot of things to account for in the ending, because the way I write my first drafts is the piece ends up being too quick and I underwrite everything. So that was especially bad for the second half of the book, because that's how it works for me. Like with my first drafts, the second half of the book is like really underwritten, and so I've had to like slow down the pace in certain sections, certain chapters, so that, you know, the struggle really like hits the characters and they have to actually like wallow in the despair a little bit, especially like right before the climax. They need to like be grasping for solutions and a way out of the situation that they're in. So I think after this, it's really just I need to line edit, obviously. Like I haven't really been focused on line editing too much, but other than that, there's like some side characters that I feel like they need to be kind of mentioned more, not just like showing up. Like I think everyone shows up where they need to show up, and I've had to do a lot of like streamlining the book and cutting things down. In terms of the two main characters, thinking of and relating bits of information about what's going on to side characters, so that certain bits of information is like fed to the reader a bit more consistently, and not just like we learn about this character when they show up, you know. Hopefully I finish this draft by the end of the month. It really has been a bit of a struggle to get back into this, just because like I feel like I should give myself just like a clean, like cold turkey break from writing in general, but this is like the thing that makes me like this is the thing that I gravitate towards most and makes me the happiest. So I can't just give it up so I could let my brain relax. I'm still going to be thinking about it, so it's kind of hard to balance that, and this is why I think like I could never be a full-time writer, because I would just never relax. I would just constantly be working and I need like the structure of like a career, a day job, to kind of keep me doing something else, so that I'm not just like sucked into working on books all the time. It's been slow progress trying to get back into consistently writing this book. I was working on it a bit today and I'm getting through some edits I have to do on chapter 5, and hopefully I finish chapter 5 today. But it's just like once I'm into it, it gets a bit easier. but because I took such a break from this book in particular, like the consistency I had last year and the year before on this project has been gone a while, because I've just been focused on other things, academics, and I was dabbling with other projects. But with this, I just feel like I've fallen out of the mental space of writing this book. And so I've been trying to think of how to get back into that headspace and like reinvigorate my passion for this book. So off the top of my head, I can think of reading books that inspired or I associate with Project Camelot. I made a little like collage thing from some images from my Pinterest board for this project. I'll put the collage here. Listening to music that, you know, very much reminds me of this book. Those are all things that have started to work a little bit. But yeah, I think now it's just a matter of consistency, like trying to work on it every day, to keep coming back to it, to not give up on it. I was rewatching the last vlog I posted, which was from probably like February to May 2025. And I was just so excited about this book, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I kept coming back to it when I had exams and assignments. I was still thinking about the book and thinking about when I would get back into it. And it's this thing of like, you know, you start writing a book for a reason. And I have a very specific kind of goal with this book. And it would be like really disappointing to the version of me from last year or the year before to give up on this project, to shelve it, because my goal was to query in 2026. It's been a process of just like rediscovery and return, but it's also a thing of like, I'm seeing so many things I still want to fix, and I am, as always, overwhelmed with the amount of work that I still want to do on the project versus the timeline that I had for myself, the goal I had of querying by the end of 2026. Like, I still can't believe that this book is currently like 90,000 words. Like, that's a lot. That's like the length of a novel already. So it's kind of like, I don't want to give up on it yet. And I want to see it through to the end and make it as good as I can make it before I move on to something else. So I actually have a bit of restriction this week. I have some like stuff going on that are non-negotiable on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I also have to run some errands either on Tuesday or Thursday. So I do have some limitations in my schedule, which is nice, because I'm going to be able to see if those restrictions help me feel more motivated to write, or fit writing into scheduled blocks. I think that's my main update. I'm also having trouble reading. So I'm gonna start The Night and the Moth. I bought this, I don't know when, a while ago. And God, I think it was like in December, and it's July. And I still haven't read it yet. I have so many unread books. Oops. But this could be a comm title for Project Camelot. So we'll see. We'll see if that works out. Prose wise, it's not quite what I would want for this book. Like prose wise, I kind of would compare it to The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon and Stacey by Madeline Miller. It's a bit like somewhere between that. This, I don't really know how to explain it without sounding like I'm saying something bad about the prose. It looks more readable. It doesn't look as like prosy prose, like super descriptive like prose. I'm like very particular about the writing style of Project Camelot. I have like a very specific kind of thing that I am going for with this book. So just to like get myself back into the book as well, I think I'm going to continue reading some poetry. I'm like 3/4 or like 2/3 of the way through Devotions by Mary Oliver, which is like a big kind of compilation collection of her poetry. A lot of her poems make me think of the secondary protagonist in this, the MMC, because his like voice is a bit more like dark and naturey. Not necessarily the darkness is something Mary Oliver doesn't write anything dark per se, but the heavy amounts of nature imagery is very Mary Oliver. I don't know if I've talked about like the characters that I'm focusing on in this. I think I wasn't talking about it, but I will now, because honestly I just want to say their names instead of saying FMC and MMC. The main character of this book is Guinevere. This is an Arthurian retelling, so yes, that Guinevere. And the secondary protagonist, the MMC, is Emrys, who you might also know as Merlin. I don't know if me saying that is spoilery. I feel like it's obvious when you like start the book who he's supposed to be. So I think me saying that right now isn't a problem. I don't want you to go into this book not realizing Emrys is supposed to be Merlin. I'm also running out of space on my phone. I have like 15 minutes left of video storage, as my phone is telling me right now, which is not good. I don't know if I have enough footage to justify posting this yet. I feel like I barely did anything. I have 3 points that I wrote down in relation to wanting to get back into writing this book passionately. The first one is, don't just write when you feel like it. Obviously, because I stayed away from this book for so long, I lost touch with it a little bit, and I have to kind of wade deeper into the project again before I can feel like, I'm in it, if that makes sense. I can't just like walk in ankle deep water and say I'm swimming. I don't know. But yeah, like getting into a routine, I think is going to be really important. For the past year, I moved out of my university apartment and I've been back home, and having a routine at home, having time to like specifically designate everything you want to do on your own time, that's kind of impossible. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but I am seeing the benefits again of waking up as early as possible so I can have a few hours to write, and then making sure I go to sleep early so that I can wake up early. Like, that's always been, to me, the most vital part of being able to sustain my writing routine, because that is like the guaranteed way to get myself to write. If I wake up really early in the morning and I have just like a few hours to dabble or full on write, I feel very disconnected from the project, and I am starting to get back into that, because I did the things. I was listening to the book playlist, I was going through the Pinterest board, I made a collage that I should have put in, went through my journal for this project specifically, which is like a bit of a commonplace, as well as like just like diary entries as I'm writing the book, where I have like quotes and poems that make me think of this book. It's kind of just like a catch-all of inspiration and motivation. These vlogs that I've had over, the course of writing this book has been really like inspiring, to like hear myself go back and talk about this book and not feel like ready to give up on it yet. I just want to keep going. I want to keep working on it and see this book become as good as I can make it. That is just all on video for me, and it's very inspiring to look back on. So honestly, if you want to like make a little vlog just documenting your process, I mean, I've always been doing that, like my Instagram stories. My friends are constantly seeing my word count updates. And the third point that I wrote down was, you have all the time you need. Don't rush. I, throughout writing this project, have been very stressed about a self-imposed deadline. And I think it's important to enjoy the process and not rush it, to really sink into the creative process and remember that you started doing this because you enjoy it, because it's something that fills you with so much creative fulfillment. And being stressed about a timeline, a made-up timeline that you put on yourself, is just going to take the joy and the energy that you have for the project out of your process. And that's still a thing that I'm constantly kind of trying to fight and figure out how to move past. But this is a reminder for myself. Don't rush. You have all the time you need to work on the book. and the world isn't gonna end if you don't finish it by a certain point. This is slightly lower, but I had to take one of the books off of my stack of books that my phone is propped on. I have this copy of Le Morte d'Arthur. I got it in January, I think, this year. I'm running out of phone storage, so that is all from me. I'm probably gonna end this video right here. Happy writing. Let's finish our books.